and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lucy, and in today's video I wanted to do kind of like a get ready with me while I update you regarding my dystonia, my pain, where I'm at with the dystonia, as well as the deep brain stimulation, and also what I'm going to be doing moving forward. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So today's video is not going to be as much as like products focused, just because I wanted to do a get ready with me. Where do I begin? So some of you may or may not know, I had deep brain stimulation surgery back in 2019 in order to help alleviate the dystonic symptoms that I do have, but primarily because I was in so much chronic pain that it became so unbearable. Quite a few months prior to it, I was not really in that much pain. I ended up going through the surgery. Everything went really well. The doctors had anticipated that the surgery was going to be taking like 3 hours or so. It ended up taking 5 hours. They are inserting an electrode in the brain, so they wanted to be, quite precise, which for that I'm very thankful for. Meanwhile, you are in surgery. They do turn on the electrodes to see any side effects or whatnot. Just because since dystonias tend to be fixed in a position kind of like this, it's not going to be as noticeable as, for instance, for Parkinson's disease patients, just because they are shaking. And then whenever they do insert the electrode in the brain, they naturally stop shaking, and that's like mind-blowing miracle. But anyway, with the dystonias, they tend to progress very slowly. So yeah, I ended up having it activated. A month later, I was not really having that much chronic pain, if any. So I was like, oh my god, and I hadn't even really noticed it. I'm able to go by my day without any much pain. And this is huge for me, because having pain it's a pain in the rear. I really have so much empathy for people dealing with acute pain, with chronic pain, with any kind of pain. By the way, the reason why my voice is a little bit raspy is because yesterday we went out with a couple of friends, which that was so nice and lovely getting to see them again. But yeah, we were dancing and obviously we were singing, so hence the raspy voice. But I digress. I was studying psychology in university, and meanwhile I was getting my bachelor's. I was applying for jobs because I wasn't having that much pain. Heart doesn't really want to blend. I'm guessing the Fenty Beauty and the e.l.f. one kind of clash because it was a little bit too hard for me to blend this. I was working at this job and I really loved it as a counselor for opioid use disorder patients, and that was such a rewarding job. I mean, it was definitely challenging, as with any other job, but I felt that as long as I helped somebody, I was like, hey, this is what I'm meant to do. I'm meant to help other people. That was April of 2022, was it? 2021. So a few months after I started my job, I graduated. Then I continued working on that job and I got promoted 2 times, which I was very grateful, very thankful for. But with all of that came more stress. And obviously, with toxicity, that's another huge trigger for me in terms of my dystonia and my pain. And also with the higher up that you go on to a job, the more requirements are going to demand out of you. But then the toxicity began, which got my chronic pain back up again. And I had to miss, quite a few days of work, which, me, you would know, I wouldn't miss any job. But yeah, anyway, with all of that being said, I think that I got burnt out as well in a sense. So yeah, I'm not trying to blame my job for my pain, obviously, I'm just saying that if I would have cared for myself a little bit more, and these probably wouldn't have happened. So yeah, we ended up moving to San Francisco because Chris got a good job. I was applying for jobs as well there, but my pain, and as well as kind of the fulfillment that I was getting at the previous job that I loved, was not going to be the same or even similar. So I didn't really take any jobs, but also because of my pain. I couldn't even hold out 4 to 5 hours up until I had my next dystonic attack, or up until I had my next really bad pain. Then we ended up moving back like 40 minutes away or so from where my mom lives and where we used to live at before. So that is nice. That's been very helpful. And you know, just because having my mom close by, like if anything were to happen with me or anything like that, you know, like I can count on her, and I obviously can count on Chris too. But like for instance, with like going for doctor's appointments and all of that, like my mom usually is the one, you know, who takes me there and who is like my right hand person, literally. And obviously Chris and I have gone there too, and my neurologist has met Chris and he's like, okay, I give him the okay. I swear my neurologist is so funny. With that being said, right now how we are scheduling my Botox appointments and the trigger point injections appointments are interchangeably. So like I get Botox, and then because you're not supposed to be getting Botox anytime sooner than the 4 months, I get the trigger point injections within the 2 appointments of the Botox. That way my pain doesn't get too aggravated, and then also that way I can hold off longer without the Botox. That is the plan so far regarding the injections. And also we scheduled a DBS appointment where the DBS specialist checks on all my electrode sides as well as the voltages, which sides are on, which I cannot really recall that as of right now. And also we're gonna see like what else we can do to help alleviate a little bit more of the pain. Oh, by the way, right after the brain surgery, I wasn't really getting Botox whatsoever. Like I would say about like, I think it was like years of me without getting Botox, which that was a huge accomplishment for me just because I hate needles with a passion. I'm like afraid of needles. I have to also schedule another appointment with my orthopedic surgeon. That way we can see what else we can do in regards of like this region, just because here's where primarily is my chronic pain at, just because it's kind of like I hold everything there. Also, I've noticed that like my foot is kind of like twisting downward a little bit more, like my two toes is doing like this kind of motion, so then that makes it harder for me to walk and just to shower, you know, because I mean I do use some sandals to shower, but yeah, I do feel sometimes a little bit like not stable. So maybe what we will do is schedule an appointment with the orthopedic surgeon. Well, this is a different one. The older doctors are more like personable and like nicer than the newer ones. Maybe that's just my experience. I don't know, like have you ever had that happen to you before? Hand, arm, and shoulder, he's still the same one. Very caring, very compassionate, very understanding, and whenever I'm going into surgery, that's what I look for, you know. And regarding the pain, since the pain as well as the dystonia take a mental toll on anybody, well, not on anybody, but like on people who have had dystonia or any sort of pain or any sort of like illness or disorders or diseases. For that, I'm going to also be going to therapy, just so that way you can also see another person's perspective into like how I'm viewing things. Any kind of stressors or any sort of like anxiety inducing events or thoughts too that can exacerbate dystonias. So that's also why I want to prioritize myself, my mental health, as well as my physical health. It's time that I can to get back on track onto my own thing. So I feel like taking care of yourself mentally as well as physically is one of the biggest investments you can actually make for yourself as well as on your loved ones. Just going to set the bronzer with some powder bronzer as well as the blush. So this year, by the way, I turned 30 years old, which I was just thinking about it, and then I'm like, holy cow, I have been living with dystonia pretty much the half of my lifetime. Well, the first initial symptoms began towards the end of when I was 14 years old, but then like the actual symptoms and whenever I got diagnosed was when I was 15. And yeah, I've been writing down some things that I've learned or even just experienced, and like quotes that like have resonated with me, and I think I will film that. I think that would be like a cool video idea for me to do. When I talk about my pain nowadays, it's not like before I got the brain surgery whatsoever. I mean, it is painful, but it's not like before, you know, wherein like as soon as my pain began, I couldn't really do anything. Nowadays, it's like my pain is there. I can do some things, but I definitely have gotten to know my limits. With the experience of living with dystonia for like the past 15 years now, I've definitely gotten to know myself, my body, as well as what can I handle, but also what I cannot handle. So yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope that you guys got to learn a little bit more about me and also about like where I'm at nowadays in regards to my dystonia, as well as my pain, and also where I'm at in life. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't yet already, and let me know in the comments down below what you like to see from me. Okay, take care. Bye now.